evening, everyone. Shortly put, our Earth is dying, and there's no really nice way to put it. Our Earth simply cannot keep up with the amount of greenhouse gases that are being filled in within our atmosphere. With our growing population and technology and humanity, we simply just can't keep up with the pace that we are at in today's world. And right now in society, we're at a crossroads where we can kind of decide the fate of our Earth. You should listen to me in this speech because, I've grown up passionate about kind of helping others. My family grew up taught me in a way to always care for others before yourself. And I've also grown up in an environment where I've always cared for the environment, kind of being aware of our Earth and all our social economic problems. And also, you should probably pay attention because, I don't think anyone really wants to see the Earth burn to a crisp. This reason this information might be important to use because as you grow up, you might be needing to make a decision towards our environment or towards our society as a whole. And I'm only not here to persuade you to do anything. I'm just here to educate you in the information. Hopefully you'll be able to make that right decision. These next few minutes I'm going to talk to you about our Earth's history with climate, our current problems, and then solutions we might see in the future. So let's start with where the Earth should be today. For as long as you can remember, as long as it has been, the Earth has been completely fine with its greenhouse gas intake. But only recently has it really evolved into a problem. John Cox research with George Mason University in January of 2019, greenhouse gases, the highest ever recorded was 300 pounds per million in the Earth's atmosphere. This is the highest that's ever been recorded in 1950, but it's been sustainable. The Earth's been able to maintain that much greenhouse gas the entire time. Now, we are up to 420 pounds per million of greenhouse gases. The Earth has not been able to maintain that much carbon, methane, or nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. This is a problem because the amount of greenhouse gases we have will ruin the ozone. And if you don't know, the ozone is the layer of air that protects the Earth from radiation, or the sun's radiation. And the more greenhouse gases we have, the weaker the ozone gets. This will cause oceans to rise, extreme weather temperatures to be more common. It can even make the oceans and sea life more toxic, which can just ruin the entire circle of life pretty much. So, and with that being said, we're now at a tipping point in our climate situation. With humanity and population growing as well as being more technologically advanced, we're increasing the amount of greenhouse gases we are producing in the environment. We are evolving with energy throughout the world, whether it's coal, oil, or other types of non-renewable energy. Our whole society runs on it. We need it for electricity, we need it for gas, we need it for anything in between to power your PlayStation. Whatever you need, energy is needed, which means we're burning greenhouse gases to provide energy just to our everyday lives. Again, in John Cook's research, he talks about how the U.S. alone will produce 15.1 trillion pounds of greenhouse gases a year. And now this is not even to mention the amount of greenhouse gases around the entire world. In her article, Planet or Plastic, in the National Geographic, Holly Shaftel says, end quote, "The world as we know it is now at its tipping point. If temperature will even rise 1 or 2 more degrees, the damage will be irreversible. From then, it's only a matter of time before the Earth becomes uninhabitable and humankind as we know it will become extinct." Following up with what Holly said, it's time for us to see solutions in everything and all the solutions for our problems. In the June edition of the New York Times, Najed Popovich, Livia Albeck-Ripka, and Kendra Pierre-Louis led a research team from both Harvard and Columbia law schools to try to solve the problems with our climate. They thought of two categories of solutions, and they called it mitigation and adaptation. They define mitigation as reducing climate change which involves reducing the flow of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. They're pretty much arguing about how the Department of Energy needs to find more renewable energy sources, whether it's wind, water, steam, whatever it is, they need to try to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases they produce. And they also talked about adaptation. Adaptation is adapting to life in changing climate, which involves adjusting to the actual or the expected future of climate. These research teams have tried to argue with NASA or work with NASA and trying to find new uses for greenhouse gases. One example is they're trying to make a turbine that works with greenhouse gases as well as burning the fossil fuels, so it can produce the same amount of energy for half the amount of fuel, which will reduce the amount of greenhouse gas output. And like I said, as the climate worsens, we hope to see mitigation, adaptation, and a more socially norm environment. From the past to present, our climate situation has only gone downhill, and now it's up to us to kind of make it go uphill. It's the only thing we have left to do. I hope, again, I'm not trying to persuade you to make any action. I'm just trying to inform you with the facts that our climate is not doing well. I just hope that if you ever come to a point where you have to make a decision towards everyone or a decision towards our environment, that you are educated in making that right decision.